the sun will come out today. Yeah. Vanity is an illusion.
WEFM, the clean, fresh sound.
WhatsApp us or call us at 457-9997. Activated Mornings on WEFM 99.9 is on now.
All right, this is WEFM 99.9 as we continue with the commentary from Lyf this morning. Lyf?
Yeah, so I guess tomorrow I gotta change my device, right? Because people keep calling during this time and cutting me off. So I gotta change the device I'm using tomorrow to stream. So yeah, so what I was basically saying is that the situation after the consultation ended, it could have went on.
Teacher, why were they asking for the teacher?
Because people didn't know that the situation was so bad. Some people there didn't know that situation. Some people didn't know it was so bad, right? Was it actually principal of the West State Charge? And after the consultation ended, that consultation could have gone on for 2 weeks, non-stop. That's how bad the situation is. A police officer said to me, Lyf, that West St. George, we had 9 other schools with the same exact thing. So you see the situation there, it's out of control. I'm not blaming anyone, but I don't know how they're going to get it solved. It's not a situation that you can solve easily. And one of the main things that came out, which I agree with, right, is that a lot of the community organizations that existed when I was growing up no longer exist. So there's nothing for the students to do, right? I have to come back. I always have to keep coming back to this, right? I did some interviews. Well, I'm going to speak specifically on the lack of the organizations like the Cub Scouts and other organizations that were wrong when I was growing up that students would go to after school. I had done an interview a few years ago with basically people who involved in the criminal activity in the underground wall in St. Vincent. And they were telling you exactly what led them to that point and what is leading a lot of the youths to that point, right? And the interview was thrown out. Nobody didn't want to hear what these guys have to say because of who they were, right? Nobody didn't want to hear what they have to say. And this is one of the big problems because you have people who are involved in the violence, in the gangs, telling you what the problem is, but you don't want to hear them. Some of them was led down that some of them went down that road because they didn't have a choice. They didn't know better. It is what they grew up seeing. They saw that growing up, so they didn't know it was wrong. They didn't know, but then reaching a certain level now, they understand the situation. They understand the negative impact that they have, and they are telling you what the problem is and how to solve the problem. But nobody don't want to listen to them. Nobody wants to listen to them.
You still have that information though? You still have?
Yeah, of course I still have it. And one of the main things that both people were saying is that the organizations like Scouts and Cadets and Guides and whatever other organizations there were around that time, these organizations have basically gone missing in action. So there's nothing for the students to do after school more than come on a block and sit down. And one of the guys actually said he said growing up, he saw most of his friends going to these organizations after school or whatever. And I don't think he was involved because he didn't have the kind of parental guidance for him to be involved in that. But he said that was a big thing in keeping him off the streets. A big thing. This is a guy who was a criminal who basically was arrested in relation to homicides, drug dealing and whatever. And he's telling you the lack of these organizations is creating a problem in society.
But even though these organizations are there, you think the kids, the youngsters will want to go?
Some of them would go though. Some of them would go.
Police Youth Club exists as well too. So even if we don't see the other type of organization that we were used to, the Police Youth Club exists. I suppose we have to ask as well, do churches have their own youth clubs? But the other thing is, And Maka, the way in which you asked the question is interesting because you said, would these young people want to go?
Exactly.
When I was growing up, it's not if you want to go.
You did have
You
Yeah,
have
exactly.
to, right?
Right.
When we were growing up, we didn't
Yeah.
really have. I mean, we say it in a way that it's almost as if you take away the right from the child to determine whether or not they want to be involved in something. But in some instances, or in certain cases, you have to indicate to a child that I am the parent, this is what you're going to do, and you have to go along with it, as opposed to all of these choices and maybe asking a child, do you want to go? So yeah.
But exactly. And the thing is, right, with a child, right, a child might see an organization and say, I don't want to go to that. But they end up getting forced to go, and within 2-3 meetings, they love it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what happens, They say, oh, that look boring. But then going into the activity, they end up and love it. And let me tell you something. A lot of these students who acting bad in school, who acting up in school, afraid their parents, If their parents tell them, listen, you have to go in, they go in, some of them afraid their parents, but the parents don't know what the behavior like in school.
Yeah.
But listen, and you know what happened? And I'm gonna say this, right? And I don't think that a lot of people are gonna be angry. I blame the police for the demise of the Cub Scouts. Because the Cub Scouts organization in Seventy was killed because of the amount of sexual assault complaints from parents and some of the people who used to run these organizations. And when these things were reported, they were never investigated thoroughly by the police. There was a lot of same-sex sexual assaults and a lot of little boys by people who were running these organizations, and then parents refused to send their kids to these organizations. When I was growing.
All right, Lyf, we're not hearing you again. We're not hearing you. All right, so yeah, Lyf. All right, so while we wait for Lyf to come back.
Hello.
Hi. All right, so we wait for Lyf to come back.
Yo, Gucci.
All right, so Lyf is back with us.
I definitely have to change devices. So yeah, my father said to me that he would not allow me to join the Cub Scouts because of the sexual assault claims that he heard other people were having. It was a no-no. I wasn't allowed to join. And that is what killed organizations like that. The police never investigated claims. Their parents, their youngsters who went into the Cub Scouts and came out changed for the worse because of sexual assaults. And that is one of the major problems. You need to vet people who head up some of these organizations thoroughly and say, well, okay, now, we like your enthusiasm, but you're not going to be allowed to be part of this organization. Some of these organizations need to combat the 4-H club, while the police youth club is trying their best. I don't know how many people. I think they have a big following, but like some people hear the word police and still don't want the kids to be involved with that, because as we know, the police, they really have a really good relationship with the public, right? So some people hear police and they don't want the kids to be involved in that. So other organizations need to come back and give these youngsters. I suggested teaching them boxing, let it release the anger, teaching them karate, and that was a joke to some people, right? But ask the question: have you ever heard of a professional boxer, Mike Tyson, or any of these guys that came from a nice social background, a nice home with a nice family or whatever? No, these were rough people who focused, most of them 90% of them were rough people who focused their aggression and their issues and put it into boxing.
But as you talk about those, though, I'm wondering if any sort of study was done, because remember initiatives like Pan Against Crime and Sports Against Crime also came up as well. How effective were any of these initiatives?
Well, I would think that if you have 15 youngsters going to Pan Against Crime after school, I would think that, and then like
20.
5 of them change, I would think that's that. You're making a dent, and at least you're saving some, right? But Pan Against Crime initiatives seem to be well funded, but there were times when you're hearing that like if they can't get pans, they can't get place to practice. Sports Against Crime, when the playing fields are in bad state, the hard courts are locked up, the lights are not turned on. You know what I mean? You have problem having balls, you have problem getting balls for the football, you have problem getting equipment for the cricket. It's just like nobody really focusing on these things, and that's why the focus needs to come back. You know what I mean? If you can have a boxing program, a lot of these a kickboxing program, a karate program, a taekwondo program in the schools that students are allowed to go to after school for at least an hour, 2 hours. They will be attracted to that, you know. A lot of the more aggressive students will be attracted to that, you know. It's just about how to manage it properly to make sure that a box in your face in the ring don't come out of the ring into a box in your face.
And that's the thing is, it doesn't necessarily just have to be about the physical activity, but you could also incorporate social skills and developmental skills as well, sessions on those things as well.
Well, it has to be properly managed, right? It has to be properly managed. I think the more aggressive youngsters will be attracted to these programs, and if you could get them active, tired for at least an hour after school, at least say 4 or 5 or 2 hours after school. That's the thing, you know, just get them tired, get them active, so then they could go home. I understand that Grenada has a program where Grenada, Antigua, one of these countries has a program where after school, students are not allowed to be on the streets where the school closed. The police drive around and make sure they get into vans and go home.
But I know that
they have to go home right after school. They can't be around on the roads lagging about. You have to
but like when we were going to school, we couldn't be. I mean, I don't know who was quote unquote policing it, but remember we couldn't be in school clothes after 6 without your parents. You could not.
We have to leave school and go home. No, you see in primary school trying on the road after 6.
Yeah. Although I think in some cases you had to blame the vans too, because even with that. No, there was some hold on. There are some instances when vans don't want because remember children are paying full price, right? Yeah. So when it comes to that busy time, they don't want to take up the children because
but there are some
that was going on even in my time.
There are some vans that some of these school children don't want to ride.
Well, that too. There is that too. But
as we talk about old vans, they don't want to ride those vans.
One of the issues that the Minister of Education brought up again is the music in the vans. The music and the way the vans operate, which is a big problem for real, because he said you might not hear the type of music playing in the vans at home, but you're hearing it in the vans when you're going to school and hearing in the vans when you're coming back. And it put them in a listen, the first song you hear in the morning, you remember it for the rest of the day, you know. You know, the first song you hear in the morning, you remember it for the rest of the day. So you going in a van now to go to school, and you're hearing about the sex and the shootings and the stabbings and who is shot off and who is done. And that's what's sticking in your head for the rest of the day as a student. And then you're hearing it again when the last thing you're hearing when you go home is a kind of programming, you know. And what the commissioner said, the commissioner of police said, he said, the strange thing is that some of these songs are actually banned from the airwaves in Jamaica. You can't really, and they be played freely in St. Vincent, but some of them are actually banned. And you see, these problems are unique to St. Vincent. Because in Barbados, the kind of music that are played in the vans are even worse than the kind of music that are played in St. Vincent, in the vans in St. Vincent. They play the raw, uncut dance all with the bad words and everything. Some of these guys edit them out, right? Not all, right? But some of the vans edit them out, right? But it's bad in Barbados in relation to that too. You see, the problem is not unique to St. Vincent, and I don't think there's any country that ever solved this problem before. But as I'm saying that, we're in a small community, man, we could try. The parents need to get involved. And you know, one of the issues also is that they say sometimes when they try to discipline the student, the parent coming down to fight them. But where you gonna find? You gonna find you have a son 14 and you 28.
Yeah.
You make him when you're 14.
Right.
So are you 30? Are you make him when you're 13? And in some instances, people making children when they're 12. You know what I mean? And you have a 12.
And in the case of, let's say it's a big hard Batman, as we would say, impregnated the 12-year-old, this child doesn't get any justice for what has happened. So, you know, you kind of see a bit of a cycle repeating as well. And
then the father going to want to disappear because the post is so young. They ain't going to want to step up and say, well, that's my child and take care of the child because they know they could get locked up. So they're going to disappear. So there's a single parent household already. You know what I mean? And the problem is huge. The problem is big. You understand? Somebody say one of the teachers left and joined the police force. So that person rather be a police than a teacher. Because in my mind, you're less likely to get beat up as a police than as a teacher in one of these schools. Because as a police officer, you're not going to be interacting with 100 hooligans every day. But in a school with 400-500 people, if you have 50 hooligans that disrupt the whole atmosphere of the school, that disrupts the whole setting, just 50 people.
And I think that's the thing that is happening as well, because even when we had cop chats about 2 weeks ago, we had the principal of West St. George and Georgetown Secondary on the panel. And what they were saying is that it wasn't so much a case of the entire school population being disruptive. You just had a few bad apples causing the disruption and disrupting everything for everybody. So that is what is it that they're dealing with.
Yep. We have a call on the line live. Good morning.
Yes, good morning, gentlemen and lady.
Good morning.
Now, I'm older than any of you guys. I'm older than any of you guys in this studio, and nothing that you say in life is new. These situations always existed. Now, Roleza, you said something early on. It goes back to the home. I remember the days when my parents didn't send me to Sunday school. I was taken to Sunday school. One thing really stands out. I remember I had one outfit, my church outfit. I soaked it in a bucket of water. My mother grabbed me by my ears and she dragged me to church in what I was wearing. Now, I didn't turn out too bad anyhow because I'm 73 and I'm still alive. The problem lies in the home. And I'm hoping ministers of government and the powers that be listening, make the parents pay. If I have to pay for actions of my children, I would clean up my act. So when a child goes out and rolls a spliff in the classroom, go for the parent. And the parent is going to make sure Johnny finds his behind home when school closes. I would close with this. My children are not perfect. Our son turned out to be like an angel. Our daughter is whatever the opposite of an angel is. And if she's listening to me, because she's in St. Vincent right now, if she's listening to me, she would give me an applause. They were brought up with the same rules. He complied. She wanted to have her own way. But I, as a parent, I still had to pay for her actions when she was there. So I made sure that she was not going to put me on the grill. And, do what we have to do as parents. Make the parents accountable. I applaud the Minister of Education yesterday because I also listened. And Lyf, I would not agree with you there as far as the location is concerned. Because all we do is talk, and nothing is done. Until we target it, nothing is going to be done. It's like going to a prayer meeting. This old man was praying every Tuesday night. Lord, remove the spider webs from my life. One night, a 10-year-old got on her knees and she said, Lord, please kill the spiders in brother life. Go to the source. Have a great day, everyone.
All right. Thanks, Joshua. Yeah, all right. There's a comment here. And okay, so let me just take one of these. Somebody is waking up. Yeah. All right. So somebody is saying, good morning, Lyf. The Minister of National Security, his solution was to send the police to fix it right now. Lyf, bro, you blame the police, which I agree, but you didn't mention the actual culprits or the perpetrators.
Blame the police. Wait on. When I say I blame the police for not addressing the sexual assaults within the Cub Scouts, right?
Mm.
I have openly named people responsible for sexual assaults on young boys on my Facebook page.
Mm-hmm.
And I have done it, but I can't do it here.
Let me see
You know
something.
what I mean?
Okay, so the person is saying yes, that, but remember too. Okay, so to answer this person as well, let me be able to quote exactly what you blame the police, but you didn't mention the actual culprits or perpetrators. Now, in this case, right? So as Lyf is saying, he can't necessarily name the names of the persons. And it's really, onus really is on those persons who were affected to go and make a report, right? So,
and
we have a call on the line, Lyf. Hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning. I kind of agree with Lyf because in my time coming up, I'm 40 years old, and in my time coming up, if you as a youth, youth man days, and we hear you enjoying Boy Scouts, it's fire for you. Because Boy Scouts always have a stigma. Them institution with we don't say homosexuality, but Batman. You know what I mean? But it always have a stigma. People used to nag you. Oh, boy, you go join Boy Scouts? And people kicks off of you with them things. So Lyf says that you think. I remember in my youth man days. And you how you go say you going to join them thing me. Man paying your back. Oh, you go do another day, this and that, another, as in the same homosexual activities and things. And a lot of youth suffer from that. During them times that them things. So it's correct, and then they never address the issue.
And we know the culprits. We all know the culprits.
Yeah. And they never address the issues in the boys' home. It's the same problem too. In Liberty Lodge, we heard of complaints with boys being molested and things. And no address has been made.
Yeah.
We know what's going on. Everybody knew what was going on, but nobody wasn't addressing it. I had made a post on my Facebook page a couple of years where I called the fellas' names, and I didn't care what was the outcome. You know what I mean? But I can't call them and hey, because WEFM got for the blame for that. You know what I mean?
That is interesting.
I'm not going to do that.
Although I think one of the names that was called had a matter. Maybe it was a year, 2 years ago. And I remember the comments, persons were like, how is only now? Why is only now? Yeah.
Because it's only now because he halfway messed with the wrong person child. When I say halfway, is that because the person actually went to the police, but they would have parents that would have go the whole way and don't go to the police.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that I never even hearing about that case right now. But everybody was saying, why only now? How come people only saying is no and this and that? But this going on for years and again. And the system is the person. The system was what that every time a complaint come up about these guys, the system want to get rid of them, the system will transfer them and transfer the problem to somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And these persons were people who were rated for the expertise in certain areas and this and that, instead of they throw them out of the system, so the problem just kill off these organizations. You know what I mean? There were some of the troops, like I can remember back in the days, the troop in St. Mary's that I went to was kind of safe because at one point it was led by one of my friend's mothers who was taking care of the boys. I don't know at what point it transitioned from her to someone else and kill it off, but at that point it was safe. But these organizations weren't known to be safe spaces for anybody.
Mm-hmm.
They attracted sexual predators to the helm of them and kill them off. And people need to understand the difference between someone who is a homosexual and someone who is a predator.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they need to understand, the difference between being a homosexual and being a predator. There is a difference.
And also the homosexuals need to know what spaces to not be involved in because I'd explore that point of view for another time.
Well, that could be a kind of sticky one, right? Because they could be homosexuals who are not predators
who
have no interest whatsoever in molesting a little boy. But
which is true. I could agree with that. But in certain spaces, yes, you as an adult, you should know better. You should be a little more mindful.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if bringing back some of these organizations will solve any problem.
No, it would. I think it would solve some of the problems that we have. I think so.
Provided the youngsters want to attend it.
No, they will go. Maka, they will go. Some of them will go. You know, some of them would have to go. The parents will make them go. Some of them, because their friends going, they will end up on want to go. You know what I mean? And the unisex organizations also will play a big part where you could have both boys and girls attending that. I think a lot of people, I think we need to have some sort of way to start to address the problem before we end up with a society where every time you graduate, 100 students from a school, 20 is gangsters. We need to have that sort. We need to get that we need to get that dealt with.
Yeah, and I think one of the things we have to recognize is that children actually want to be children, you know. I think many children now are just growing up, especially those who are growing up in well, not just single parent homes, but they're the only child, right? Many of these children, many families are not making 2 and 3 and 4 and plus children. So many of these children are growing up as only children. You know, it's school, so they get to play and they get to, well, I mean, school is not just for play. Primarily, the hours are for education, right? So when it is that they leave school, they go home, it's just they and with their parents. Sometimes parents don't even have the time or the energy to devote to spending time with them. And on top of that, a child shouldn't necessarily just be socializing with their parents, right? So I think what we also missing is the fact that children actually want to be children. They want to be able to be in an environment where they're socializing with their peers and not just all these adults who are around them where, you know, the adults tell them, well, go in the corner and sit down with your device, go on your tablet or go on your phone, you know? So I think part of it is that we're missing the point that children would want to be children.
Yeah. The Joshua said something that is true. Parents need to be held accountable though. I agree with that part, right? Because you catch a student with 24 dime bags, 34 dime bags, right? Somebody get that to sell. So then you're going to take them from him and go to see who gave him that to sell? Well, listen, they should leave. Police officers don't do sting operations, you know. They just run in wild and sweaty and lock up the man on the street with whatever they find him with. Observe that student. Let them sell them in school. Obviously, you're going to sell them in school. See who he's selling to. Observe who he's selling to. Watch him hold it. See who he's going after. Trust me, soon as school done, he's going to take that money for that person who gave him them dime bags to sell.
And then we also have to question, are these children who get involved with it, are all of them doing it voluntarily? You know, are they being threatened to go and sell, and what is being said to them?
Exactly. You know what I mean? And what you said also with parent devices raising children, right? And the head of the police youth club said yesterday, he said that some of these people on social media that the students looking at and imitating, they pretending to be gangsters and are really even gangsters. They just point up that show for the public, but they actually living normal, clean lives off camera. But they're just doing that to make the money.
And some of them with the subjects and the education as well, too.
Exactly. You know what I mean? So I not blaming anybody for the problem, but we have to find some way of at least getting, if we get out 1 child, 2 child, 3, we have to find some way to get them out. You know what I mean? We need to see, like, okay, for instance, what I want to speak about tomorrow, like, you have an agriculture program with no tools. The tools have to come from the teacher, own personal stash because the teacher is a farmer. What's that? You know what I mean? In 2026 in St. Vincent, we can get an organization to donate 50 shovels to a school.
All right, that's all. Right. I just realized that was the point I was going to make with that. When you were talking about all of these, like let's say after school programs or even other initiatives, a lot of it would also have to come back to persons volunteering their time, and do persons actually want to volunteer their time? So when we talk about a hands approach, a community involvement, or a village raising a child, it's all of these sorts of things, right? because somebody who has this skill or who has a technique or they know what to do, whether it's karate or kickboxing, as you're talking about their life, or even simple things as learning a trade or learning a skill that could develop into a trade later on to help them to make money. You need to have persons volunteering at times. But if everybody is just to themselves, or if they look at it as, I am not going to be making money from this, or even if, let's say, the government gives a stipend, like let's say $50, somebody might be like, oh, only $50? They don't want to get involved. This is what we talk about when we say in the village, raising the children. It has to take all of us, and a lot of it would also have to be voluntary, community-based.
Yeah,
Lyf,
there's no.
Lyf, I think you need to go on the blocks and talk to some of these guys. They might more listen to you.
Listen. I don't have a problem doing that, you know. I don't have a problem being a part of a program to go into these schools, you know. But my approach, a lot of people might frown on my approach. I would have a totally different approach to that.
Because you're too blunt, and you're too blunt.
I will go. Listen, Roleza, I will go into these schools in all my gold, in all my jewelry. I'm basically explaining to these kids, listen, none of these things were gained illegally, you know. You have to get these things without getting involved in illegal activities. I will show off my vehicle. I will say, I didn't get this illegally. I got this by walking. You all can have these things without getting involved in illegal activity, or without people forcing on it to come to school to sell drugs. You know what I mean? That would be my approach. I will take all the graphic murder photos that the police them have saved when they go on crime scenes and show them in the school and show them, this is where you're going to end up. Your favorite gangster on the ground with 100 bullets in your head. And if that don't scare some of them, I don't know what could happen again. That's the kind of approach I would have. A lot of people would not like that approach. You know what I mean? You know what is that? As I say, as Soapy. I don't know if you ever watch Crime Watch on YouTube with this guy called Soapy from Jamaica. You say your favorite gangsters. Show them pictures of their favorite gangsters dead in the road. You know what I mean? Dead in a room because people invade the home. You have to scare these children into out of that lifestyle.
Scare them straight.
Scare them straight. You know what I mean? Some of these photos are really graphic. Show it to them. You don't have to show it to the entire population. Take the 50 who feel bad and carry them in a room and show them and talk to them. You know what I mean? You feel bad, come in a boxing ring. And let we see how bad you actually be without your friends them jumping. I just saw a video this morning with two girls fighting, a boy trying to part them, and people pulling the boy from, people jump the boy for stopping from parting the fight. He's there religiously trying to part the girls, and people pulling them away to let them fight. And then after then, the camera switches to a brawl downstairs where it started off with two guys, and then a whole squad jump one of the guys. So let we see.
I think I saw an incident at a school as well. I can't figure out which school it is, but with a fighting with two students.
Yeah. All right. All right. So we
take the call. Or?
Okay, let's take the call, but there's also a comment there as well. All right.
Hello, good morning.
Morning.
You're hitting it right there. You're hitting it right there. That's the fact. That's the thing. They do that out here. They scare their kids to death. I mean, some of them can't come out because of the situation. A lot of people don't realize, the adults don't blame the kids a lot of time, because some of them adults, they know that the kids is not going to get the same penalty or the same punishment in jail. So they set up the kids in them to do the crime in them, knowing that the kid might get 2 years or probation or something. And so they need to start going to the root of that problem. That child who's selling marijuana, I like to find out where he getting the marijuana from, because if he's in school, that means he's not a planter and a reaper. So somebody has to be doing the planting and the reaping. You have to scare kids sometimes. I tell you, my father scared me, that being no gang, nothing. I just had to play fresh. We say back then, the father play fresh. The thing just smelling big man thing, and you feel like you could go and do your. My father says, big man thing. They take me, put me in his slam the door. I only get in the fuck up. I don't even, for me, it looked like a whole day. it matter. Me, I know watch me, I know clock me, so I couldn't judge it time. But whatever time that was, it was enough to tell me that I don't want to see that place there again. You understand what I'm saying? So you're not going to get all of them changing because I tell you the situation at the home. Some of them, even the parents of them, giving the kids the drugs to set the weed to sell because they want to make the money.
Yeah.
So I mean, you have to go home. You have to follow that. You have to do it out. Police need to do it out undercover. Undercover work in them school. Pretend to be a teacher, pretend to be this. Even a very young police officer who just left school. You can send him back in the school.
Yeah, you can. You can do these things. We need to start doing these things, you know. We need to start these sting operations, you know. We need to start. As we're going to get, you're going to get nowhere. You're going to get nowhere.
You trust me, you put up a student who just left school, you employ him as a police officer, send him back in the school. Man, he will bring your information. You catch a lot of them people, trust me, you know what I mean? 2 or 3 police like that in a school, and you're getting you over. We need to work on it because, trust me, once that take root, it's hard to it. It's just as they say, if you don't benefit while it's young, but you can't benefit when it's old. So, we know it just start because, trust me, I tell you, when I used to go to school, a student, when they have police start in school, he have to hear police coming, he's gone. He think they're coming for him.
Yeah.
He didn't even do anything. He just said police and he gone. He never was there from a police start.
All right, Kojo.
Yeah. So we have to bite this thing. We have to bite it soon and thing because young criminals come up to be adult criminals. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, Kojo. All right. So
some of them police officers only been there because they had to be there. Some of them do okay. That's just reality. But some of them are actually very disturbed about it and want to try to help, right? But they don't have the solutions. They don't know how to address it. It's gonna be really, really hard. It's gonna be really, really hard for any leeway to be made in this situation. And that's just the reality. Because at the event, it wasn't even mentioned the role that mental illness has to play in some of these children behavior either, which is also a big issue. Some of these children have mental issues that can be addressed through medication and other forms of intervention, but that wasn't even mentioned, that wasn't even factored into the situation. You know what I mean?
Or just therapy and counseling as well too, because it might even be to that big extent,
Well, the principal say the counselor is overwhelmed because it's one counselor to 400 or 500 students, so the counselor is overwhelmed, right? And you say it might not be to that extent, I think there are a big portion of Vincentian society suffer from mental health issues that go unchecked for years,
Let's take our final call. Hello, good morning.
Yeah, morning. Lyf, I don't know Roleza and Maka. I don't know if you guys remember it had a program with the police used to have in schools called the DARE program.
Remember it, yes.
Yeah.
And that program was very effective.
Okay.
It used to be once a week in every school. The police will come and they had a booklet they used to give you. So when you go home, you can go through it and read through it and what's that. And that was very effective, but I don't know. I think it's still in operation. But as I say, and then a lot of the ex-convicts, I will put it this way, influencing a lot of the youth. When them are the one who should be out and telling you, well, hey, I went down Southern Road and this is how I end up, or that is how I end up. And as Lyf said, you go into school and you show them exactly what will happen to them. Blatant. Just tell them. But a lot of the ex-convicts and, as we said, bad man them is what influence a lot of the youth. And as me have to mention Lyf again, instead of you allow the youth, we you see with the 14 dime bag and trail him. Follow you to go to the head, forget the head. So you're going to meet him with the 14 dime bag and then decide, oh, we lock you up. But the head still outside. You're going to go contact another youth again. 3 more youth again. So allow the youth there with the 14 bag and see where he going. Because when he done sell today, he's obviously going to jump every money to collect 14 more or 20 more because they go fast. So he going to lead you to the head. Simple.
All right. Thanks, Carla. All right. So just to, yeah.
All right, Lyf, the Scouts Association is alive and well in SPG. Males and females are members. The commissioner of Scout is a female.
A Lyf gone. All right. So that's just something there for persons to note. The Scouts Association is still alive and active. All right. So we need to bring the program to an end, but let me see if Lyf is going to come back in just so that we could wrap up properly. All right. So he is here.
Yeah.
All right. So just one thing that I wanted to add. Well, I would. Should have said it.
Wait. Sorry, Maka. What you said in here? Where say the Scouts Association is what?
No, this someone said the Scouts is alive.
It's alive and well. It has both male and females, and it's headed by a female.
Okay, all right.
Right.
I haven't seen a Scouts in years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So just one thing that I wanted to touch on when you mentioned the consultation, and you think that it should have been held in an open space, a bigger space. Let's say Victoria Park, right? I actually think that it should be done at maybe the constituency level. You see the same like how they have in the town hall meetings, held at those levels, because I think that person is going to be a lot more intimate in terms of you can get both teachers, parents, and even children in attendance along with police, etc. Because I think persons might be able to speak a lot more freely, a lot more openly, especially if it's among persons within their communities who they're already familiar with. So to me, you could have it on those individual basis, individual constituencies first, and then maybe bring it to a national level based on whatever else was discussed. And I agree with you, keep the Lyf open, because not everybody might be able to attend, and some persons might be able to give their inputs, which the police and whoever else who's integral in trying to change things, they can read those comments and see how to address things.
You leaving out the school?
No, as a teachers, parents, community members.
No, they having this consultation at the schools.
Oh, it's wherever could be enough persons,
Students, so some of these schools used to be the pride and joy of the communities, you know what I mean? Especially during inter-school sports or whatever. But now some of them are the scourge of the community. You know what I mean? That's just the reality of the situation. Some people don't even want to be really have anything to do with these schools, or to say, well, that school is in such and such an area or whatever. They don't want to hear about it. And I don't know, it was a problem. As what Joshua said, it was always a problem, but I don't think it was such a big scale. I don't think the scale was so big when we were growing up. There were one or two troublesome people. Maybe I would have been one of that troublesome person, but it wasn't so widespread where you would have gangs and 10 man jumping one man. You might have seen 2 or 3 men jump one man back in my days, but then sometimes 10, 15 students jump one person, beat them to a pulp with a 6 and 7, 8 and 9 gang thing. You know, I see we talking, and talking is a way of bringing awareness, and maybe bringing awareness because have people would come with ideas and people would try to do something about it. So I guess we just have to talk. And I don't mind collaborating with the people who trying to change this. I don't mind. I have an approach that I know I could get other people who are family in the life and decided to come and talk to them and tell them some of the disadvantages of being in it. Maybe even some people who are in it and wants to get out and trying to explain to them, yo, I in this thing, but it's not a nice thing to be in. After sleep with one eye open, I can't go certain places. Because a former commissioner of police had said to me once, he said, Lyf, how them guys just feel to know that they had this big set of money, but they can't leave home. They can't go in a party and enjoy themselves and drink liquor and talk to girls and dance with girls and things. They just can't go away. And even when they on the block, where they run, people coming right on the block and killing them and killing their friends. How they feel? The students know these things. You know when you pursue this life that you basically have a circle. You have to stay in a line out of your community. You can't cross. You could probably only come outside and sit down at the front of your house. And even when you're sitting at the front of the house, people coming to kill you. Or even when you sleep in the night, people coming in your house to kill you and your family. They know these things. I don't think they know these things, you know. I think they only see the some of the nice things that come with the gangster life, the plenty girls, the jewelry, the cars and things. But I mean, seeing the death and the bullets that coming after with it too. So they need to see the bad parts, not just some of the parts where they consider, well, okay, we can make this. And they need to see the lifespan of some of these people too. A lot of these people don't go beyond 40, you know, and 40 and pushing it. I have a lot of my friends who died in the 20s. And the ones that live to the 40 and expecting to change and settle down, die still. When you're in this thing, it's not a situation where you could just decide you're coming out, you know. People, you decide you're coming out, the man, you slap down the road, or stab down the road, or chop down the road, or shoot down the road. 5, 10, 15 years ago, AK, you come out, you know. That person still want the revenge. They know these things could happen to them. You know what I mean?
We might have a correctional facility separate for them youngsters.
But you're supposed to, and that is another problem, because when they throw them in with the hardened criminals just encourage them to get worse.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? That's what it has. That's another problem. That is what you have to do. You have to have these facilities. You know what I mean? But we don't have that. Yeah, you know, it's just.
All right. Yeah. So we're going to have to bring this program to an end. This has been a lengthy one. I think this was the marathon of all marathons we've had so far. All right. But it was a useful discussion and a lot of things that came out of it. I'm hoping that those in authority listen and will take certain things on board. All right. Because in a way, this is also public discussion that is happening as well on this matter. So we will see.
In relation to them listening, I wish you luck on that. Anyways, you all enjoyed it. You all enjoy the rest of it.
Well, I'm hoping that you're not saying that you're talking in vain, because what would be the point?
Man, some of them don't want to hear me. And it's for a long time, them don't want to hear me. You understand? My mouth too big. My mouth too big, and I talk what I feel, and they don't want to hear me. You know? So maybe I could branch out on my own and try to do it on my own with permission from the Ministry of Education or whatever. Yeah.
And that's the reason why I asked you if you this is the reason why I asked if you still had the information from the persons who you interviewed before, because rather than trying to publish it through maybe mainstream media or whichever one angle you were trying to approach it, do it on your own. You have the platform to do it.
Several of the suggestions came from my deceased friend, Joanza Sanga Fraser. Everybody would know Sanga. You know Sanga, right, Roleza? Maka, you know Sanga, right? Yeah. Sanga was eventually shot and killed. Very smart person who chose the wrong road. Very smart, intelligent. You understand? But he had many solutions to the issues because he know what caused them. Nobody want to hear from Sanga. You know what I mean? Because of his past and because of some of the things that he have been accused of and were actually involved in. People want to hear. But that is where 60%, 70% of the solution lies, listening to the people who are involved.
So you have the information, Lyf. You can go right ahead and do something with it.
Yeah, I could try. Yeah. All right, you all enjoy the rest of your day.
We are heading on out of this segment. All right, catch you tomorrow. You too.
Yeah. Okay.